I realized that wasn't the one that had the lyrics, but let me share this with you. She sings, "Coming out of the dark, I finally see the light now, and it's shining on me. I see the light, I see the light, see the light. I see the light coming out of the dark. I know the love that saved me, you're sharing with me." And so, those moments when we feel like we are going insane, we do feel like we're in the darkness, don't we? We feel like we're in the darkness. And when we start moving forward with love, it helps us, supports us. It's a resource for us to come out of the dark. And so that's why that song resonated with me so strongly. And I wanted to open with that. So welcome again, everyone, to our Sunday service celebration. And I think it's so fitting that we're talking about sanity because I have had a wild and crazy Sunday morning so far. And I say wild and crazy because I was watching a documentary on Steve Martin. And I love Steve Martin. He's one of my favorite comedians. And he has a documentary called Then and Now, I believe. And one of his things that he would do when he was doing stand-up was his wild and crazy guy routine. Do y'all remember that? Any hands up? Or I'm telling on myself with my age? Oh, okay. I see y'all. I see y'all. So I had a wild and crazy morning, but I think it's perfect for our topic, for our theme for September. So I feel like so much has happened in a really short period of time, both for myself personally and in the world. Some things that are heart inspiring and some that have been heartbreaking, from the infusion of the energy for our election, for all the things that are starting to happen as a result of that, regardless of what your affiliation is, from infusion of joy to the insanity of another school shooting and everything in between. You know, it's enough to make a soundtrack of our times. And the song that I would play right now is the song by DMX called Party Up. So y'all might be familiar with it as Up in Here, which is the topic today, which was inspired by DMX. And part of that song, and you might be saying, well, why didn't you play that song, Red Melissa? Well, let me tell you, I can't play that song because it has really explicit language. But for me, DMX was quite the lyricist. He was very, very creative. And so I'm just going to sing to you the hook of the song if you're not familiar. It goes, "You're gonna make me lose my mind up in here, up in here. You're gonna make me go all out up in here, up in here." You know that? You know that song? Yes. Some of us sing that at work, right? For some of us, that's our theme song at work. You're gonna make me lose my mind up in here, up in here. And that's when we feel like we are being surrounded by insanity, right? Things just seem insane. You ever feel like you're actually are going to lose it, like you're going to lose your mind with all of the things. So, what is being called forth in those moments is sanity. And so, we're going to spend a good amount of company with sanity for September. So our book of the month to ground us in this is a book called Restoring Sanity: Practices to Awaken Generosity, Creativity, and Kindness in Ourselves and Our Organizations. And it's by Dr. Margaret J. Wheatley. And so this book is a companion book to her 2003 book, which is called Who Do We Choose to Be? And so the Restoring Sanity book is kind of like a book of practices. And she explains it this way. She says to restore sanity by awakening the human spirit. She says we can only achieve this if we undertake the most challenging and meaningful work of our lives, creating islands of sanity. So we get to be an island of sanity. So the question that we get to ask ourselves individually and as a community is, who do we choose to be? Who do we choose to be? Do we choose to be an island of insanity or an island of sanity? The choice is ours. So let's unpack this a little bit with some definitions. So the definition of sanity is the state of being sane, soundness of mind, soundness of judgment. Sane, since it says the state of being sane, sane means free from mental derangement, having a sound, healthy mind, having or showing reason, sound judgment, or good sense. The origins of the word sane comes from the Latin word sanus, which means healthy. So sanity means healthy. And we know that the origins of the word healthy is from the word that means wholeness. So we have a recipe here. We have sanity, healthy, wholeness. So I want you to hold on to that this month. Sanity, healthy, wholeness. Can you repeat that with me? Sanity, healthy, wholeness. All right. So the essence of sanity is wholeness. So what is the essence of insanity? Insanity is the disorder of the mind. And its origins comes from a Latin word which means unsoundness of mind. The unsoundness of mind. So we have sanity, which is the soundness of mind, and insanity, which is the unsoundness of mind. And I want to share with you how Dr. Wheatley defines sanity in her book, Restoring Sanity. She says sanity is an honest relationship with reality. Sanity is an honest relationship with reality. Sanity is seeing clearly, free of our filters, judgments, and biases. When we see what's going on, then we can discern what actions might be useful. Sanity creates possibility. Sanity creates possibilities because we see more clearly. We work with what's here, not what we want or hope is here, but what is truly, truly present. I love that. So Ernest Holmes puts it this way. He invites us to return to sane simplicity. He writes in the Science of Mind text, to return to sane simplicity is one of the first and foremost things to do. In other words, let's keep it simple. When we start to go into the lane of insanity, things get really complicated, really complicated. And we get to choose to keep it simple through sane simplicity. He goes on to write that undoubtedly we are surrounded and immersed in a perfect life, a complete, normal, happy, sane, harmonious, and peaceful existence, but only as much of this life as we embody will really become ours to use. So we must embody sanity, right? We must embody sanity, not insanity. We must embody sanity. So our principles, our science of mind principles teaches us that each receives what they ask for according to their ability to embody it. So are you able to embody sanity? Remember, Dr. Whitley defines sanity as an honest relationship with reality. With reality. So recently, I was not having an honest relationship with reality, which would be an indication that I was not embodying sanity. So, what had happened was, as many of you know, my Aunt Marion recently made her transition. And it's been very challenging for me, to be honest. And so, right now, I'm in the process of closing out her earthly affairs. And my aunt kept everything. What I didn't know that she did was she would put papers in garbage bags and put them in her closet, right? Talk about coming out of the dark. I go in her closet and there are multiple garbage bags full of papers. Now, some folks said, oh, just throw it out. You can't just throw out papers. You have to go through them, right? So I start going through them. And most of the things were things that would get thrown out. But I came upon a stack of medical records and I started reading through it. And these were medical records from 2004 and 2005. So, like I said, my aunt kept everything. So, we're talking 20 years ago. Now, my aunt died of ovarian cancer. And I have been with her, taking her to all of her doctor's appointments for the last 4 years. And my aunt never mentioned anything about ovarian cancer, but she was diagnosed in August with ovarian cancer. And 2 weeks later, she passed away. So here I am looking at medical records from 2004. She had surgery, one in September 2004. She had another surgery, January 2005. And as I'm reading through the pathology report, it says the diagnosis is ovarian cancer. 20 years ago. I could not believe what I was reading. I got really emotional. Tears were rolling down my face, and I started asking that question, why? Why? Why hadn't she ever mentioned that 20 years ago she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer? Why has she never mentioned this, even when the doctor said, you have ovarian cancer? She never said, I had it in 2004. Why? Why? And I started embodying insanity in that moment because I was not being honest with reality. I did not want this to be the reality. I had so many questions, right? Insanity creates possibilities because we see more clearly. We work with what's here, not what we want. Our hope is here, but what is truly present. In that moment, and you may have had these moments in your own life, it becomes difficult to work with what's here. It becomes difficult because this is not what I want. This is not what I hoped for, right? I cannot believe that this is a reality. Now I could continue down that road, row my boat to the island of insanity, or I can gather myself, take those deep breaths that Jan talked about in the meditation, pray, meditate, and get my mind clearer. Because the only person who can answer those questions, those why questions, is no longer here in physical form. But it was hard, y'all. I'm not I it was very difficult. And at moments I felt like I was being pushed to the edge, just pushed to the edge. I really felt like I was going to go under because I really was trying to make sense out of something that really made no sense to me. To me, it may have made sense to my aunt. I don't know. But for me, it didn't make any sense. But I had to accept the reality of it. So, what do we do when we're faced with a reality that we are experiencing as difficult to face? Where do we turn? What do we come to? And so that day, I came home and I got my Science of Mind text, and I just opened it up to a random page. And I do this often when I really feel like I'm going to spiral somewhere that I don't want to go. I open it up and it was to page 447. And this is what I read. If we wish to come to the Spirit for the healing of our wounds, let us come in peace and with spontaneous joy, for the Spirit is joy. Let us come with thanksgiving also, for a thankful heart is in harmony with life. But we must come in quiet confidence with an open and receptive mind, a believing heart, naturally, sanely, and expectantly. In this way, we are entering the portals of reality clad in garment of righteousness. I said, what? Ernest Holmes? So when you feel like you're being pushed to the edge, when I'm trying not to lose my mind because I couldn't believe what I was reading, I couldn't take in the information. When it started to feel like I was lost, that I was in the dark, when I could not see the forest for the trees, when I started to wonder how I will keep from going under, how I would keep from losing my mind. When you have a you're going to make me lose my mind up in here experience, it's time to go. It's time to go to the upper room. It's time to go to your inner sanctuary. It's time to transform that low vibration of you're going to make me lose my mind up in here, to the higher vibration of up in here of your higher consciousness, up in here in your Christ consciousness. How do we come? How do we show up? Ancient wisdom and new thought teachings have given us the recipe: sanity, healthy, wholeness. What I read in the Science of Mind text, how do we come? We come in peace. We come in spontaneous joy. We come with a thankful heart. We come with an open and receptive mind. We come with a believing heart. I ask y'all to repeat and remember the recipe. How do we come? We come with sanity, with health, with wholeness. We come naturally as our true nature. Ernest said, and the Spirit is nature of wholeness, is ever ready to take you in its embrace and make you whole again. Make you whole again. So how do we come? We come sanely. How are you coming? How are you coming? Are you coming as an island of sanity, or are you coming as an island of insanity? We get to choose. And let me just say that it is so important that we feel our feelings. It is so important that we not stuff it. It's so important that we get support when we're going through challenging times. It's so important that we remember our spiritual practices. It's so important that we reach out to each other and that we accept help. And it's so important that we are honest with reality. That is how we embody sanity. So we're going to keep going. Next Sunday, we're going to talk about an island of sanity, being an island of sanity in our collaborative service with UUCR next Sunday. So I want to close this with a story from the book Restoring Sanity. So Dr. Wheatley shares this practice that Native Americans did. And this is what she says. Native Americans did healing practices for the colonizers who broke their treaties with indigenous tribes. They knew that such people must be insane because they were not in touch with reality. And so they prayed for those crazy people. So guess what, y'all? We get to pray for those crazy people too. We get to pray for those who are not honest with reality. We get to pray for the ones who have not yet cultivated a relationship with reality. The reality that we are one. The reality that we are Ubuntu. The reality that sanity is the embodiment of our true nature. We get to remember who we are being, how we are coming. We come whole. We come healthy. We come sane. So let's embody sanity, not just for ourselves, but for the world. Peace and blessings, everyone. So let's just take this into spiritual mind treatment. So I invite you to just go within, close your eyes, go and tap into your inner sanctuary, go into your upper room and see what waits for you. What always awaits for us is love, is the presence that I call God, is the all-knowing, everywhere present, all-powerful, all-giving, the ever-expanding good that seeks to flow and embody each and every one of us, and does. So I am knowing right here and right now that we, each and every one of us, are the embodiment of sanity itself. Because we are in tune with reality with a capital R. We are in tune with our true nature as loving beacons of light in this world. We are in tune with that which is ours to do, to show up as a beneficial presence in the world, in a world that can seem out of its mind sometimes. But we know the truth. We know the truth about what is ours. We know the truth about the righteous mind. We know the truth about the truth. So we show up and we show out. We are centering ourselves in that pulse and that vibration and that rhythm that only knows love, that recognizes it within each and every being on this planet, even those who may appear to be out of touch with reality. But we come with honest joy. We come holding and being the light. We come ready, willing, and able. We come in the wholeness, in the healthiness, in the sanity that we are embodying right now. We bring it all with us, knowing that we have all within us to stand as the sane one, to embody sanity, to heal the parts within ourselves that need love. We get to apply it and we get to share it. So I am so grateful for all the opportunities each and every one of us will have, especially now, to be an island of sanity, to be a beacon of rest, to be a safe line, to be a lifeline, to be a love line to all of those who are in need. And so we just take that in, we breathe it in, we root ourselves in the power of love. And knowing that this is so, I just poured all of it into love, into God's steadiness, into the good, into the joy. I pour it all into the law, knowing that it is activated and acted upon perfectly in wholeness. And knowing that it is done, I release it, I surrender it, I be it. And we can say together, and so it is. And so it is. And so it is. Amen.